So hello once again. I believe that we can start right now, and I hope that everyone is ready. And I'd like to start with maybe some short introduction of myself, of our company. So my name is Michał Zabiegły, that's a very nice Polish name, and I'm a account manager of LangLion responsible for the British market. Our company has been providing schools with IT solutions for more than 5 years now, and it started with a platform which was designed specifically to fulfill the needs of rather normal school, I think, for example, primary schools, some kind of colleges. Okay, but right now, for about 2 years, we've been providing another group of schools, I mean specifically language schools, because they have their own specific needs that our new product, I believe, became the result of these needs of language schools. And I'm really happy to say that our platform is being used by more than 100 schools right now. So I'm in the everyday work. So that's quite a number right now. After all, we're only providing the schools with our product for more than 2 years now. So that's not really a lot of time. So maybe I will start with some words about myself. I'm from Poland, so please forgive me my accent. I hope that I'll be quite understandable for you and there won't be any misunderstanding whenever I say something to you. And more privately, I love British music, so yes, okay. About the questions, okay. I'll be happy to answer them at the end of the presentation, but some of them I'll be happy to answer just when I receive them. Okay. So of course there was a question about if this is possible to organize and use the platform in online schools. Yes, of course. It is some. Let me explain more exactly what LangLion is. And so LangLion is nothing else than the online platform for schools. It consists of 7 different modules, and we can learn more about them over here. But we also have our own blog because we believe that due to our experience, after all, we've been providing schools with IT solutions for many years now. We have also created our own blog where we can learn about some new kind of online solutions, which will be very, very useful for a school. And so let me start with the presentation because, sorry, I need to start once again the presentation. Okay, so here we are finally, and I'd like to start my presentation with explaining shortly why it's so important right now to be online. Okay. I used here some statistics presented by the Office of National Statistics of the United Kingdom, and I think that it is obvious when we look at this information that online presence of any company, and that includes of course also language schools, it is very hard to attract the consumers if we are not online. Growing number of devices also, the fact that we can use internet almost everywhere should be another important fact for schools. And nowadays there are a lot of mobile applications which are designed specifically to some kind of customer group. And these applications allow them to be in touch with some kinds of specific information and gives them the opportunity to learn where they are, wherever they are. And that's very, very important also for language schools because very often some kinds of activities that normally we do in the classroom, we can, for example, repeat at home. So that's a very nice opportunity. So let me show you how exactly looks LangLion. It is possible to see everything what I will be showing you today on our demo, which is available on our website. So right now, let's log in on the Secretariat platform, and this is some kind of administrations, some kind of office for language schools. And what's very nice about that is it's accessible everywhere. So if you want to stay in touch with what's going on in school, you simply can log in to your own unique login, your own unique profile using some kind of a smartphone, tablet, or perhaps you're even sitting in a bench or you're stuck in traffic, and you really need to inform your students or your employees about some very important issue. So all you need to do is connect to the platform. But I should explain you some basic ones of the platform very briefly, because I'd like to concentrate specifically on the online solutions, which are very useful if you'd like to attract new students into your school. So okay, it is one of the models is Secretariat. It's nothing else but the simple office, and over here you can add new students, you can create teacher profiles and set the availability of the rooms, and all of this information will be presented on the calendar. It is very easy to print some kind of information if you'd like to present them to students, and it takes about 1 minute, I think, to register the students. So it takes very useful if you'd like to save time. And I will present you more about that later. Okay, so another model is finances. And it's nothing else but setting payments, adding new kinds of goods and services you would like to offer to your students. And another model, I will tell you about that model later. Very, very important if you'd like to attract new students into your company. And there's some kind of registration form which is very easy to adapt to your needs, and I think it offers some more attractive solutions than the simple registration form very often offers. So there's also a learning platform which allows you to create tests and offer them both to students or also to share them with your teachers, with your staff. So for example, you have one big test for all the group because you'd like to see the results of each graph. So for example, which teacher was simply better than the others, okay? And so you can share those tests with your staff and see exact results. It's very easy to label those tests, so you will never have problem in finding them. But once again, I'd like to tell you about it later. Of course, there's also a library model, which simplifies the work of each company, because very often some schools use their own library, and they need some additional software to use that. Because what I believe is very good about our platform, because you see there's lots of different modules that represent activities that each school very often needs to fulfill, and you need different kind of software to solve all these matters. So then there's only one platform. It is accessible everywhere because all you need is only to log in on the website, and it allows you to administrate your school, administrate your work in a much easier way. Okay, so maybe I will end with those models. There's some additional one for bigger schools of administrator, for example, with schools, for schools with greater number of departments. Very interesting pre-post model, which allows you to see some very important data about schools. For example, if someone, some kind of information about debtors, about the progress of the student, and it's very easy to find out about this information. Okay, so e-gradebook, which will be, I would like to present to you shortly, because I believe it's a very, very nice solution to school. Okay, so let's continue. So what does it mean exactly to be online? I do believe that being online, first of all, means that we want to be visible, okay? So visible for our customers, so they can learn about our school, our teaching methods, school life, and so on. That's very important by marketing solution. Being online allows us, for example, also to have more personal contact with our clients, and so they can share their thoughts with us. They can tell us about their needs, for example. It's much easier then to gather information about them and offer them product which will be most suitable for them. being online means also that we do want to be active. So we share our thoughts about education, we provide our students with various information, which shows them we are professional in what we do, but also that at the same time we're very similar to them. Being online means also that we are very accessible because as I showed you also in the statistics, access to internet is growing every year. Okay, so it's now more than 80% of households that uses internet at home. Not to mention all those devices which allow us to connect with internet. This is why it's so important to be online and give them some new opportunities which will be very attractive to them and made specific for them. But there's one very important problem about being online: lack of control of information. So very often it's very hard to control what's going on. For example, if you have a Facebook account, maybe even on your own website, you meet another person who will be responsible only for the issues related to this online methods of school existence. Okay, so it's very good to have some kind of platform which will be safe solution, and you will be sure that every kind of information you share with the students is safe, it's only accessible for them. So I'm not I'm telling you about that for some reason, because I'd like to show you that LangLion is one of these kinds of solutions. So it's very accessible for students, and it's also very safe because it uses SSL protocol, which saves and protects the platform, the data which are saved in the system from being stolen by some inappropriate person. Okay, so it's very good to have this kind of solution in a school. Okay, so let's continue with another one. So who should we exactly contact, and whose needs we need to fulfill if you'd like to attract new students? Because after all we need new students every year, because we need to live from something. So I believe there's two basic rules we need to which needs we need to fulfill, and they are adults and children, which needs are very often interdependent. So what children want very often becomes also this thing which others want also. So you need some kind of platform which will suit and fulfill the needs of those two specific groups. Okay, and because others, for example, would like to have some kind of knowledge about what's going on exactly in the school. In that case, they need some kind of product which would allow them to have a good communication with both school, with administration and the children. It is very important for them to see the progress of their children. And they do want access to the children's grades and see exactly what they are learning, which is I think very important for them to know what exactly is going on with the children. As I said, especially if they're studying abroad. And good communication, I think, is the most basic thing that every school needs to fulfill. And what's another very important part, that we cannot forget about the needs of the children, of the young ones, because I believe it's connected with parent marketing. And young people tend to share their thoughts about your school, about the solutions you're using in your school much more often than the adults, because adults still very often are concentrated more specifically on the professionalism and the teaching methods, and they will share that this kind of information rather not that wide broad group like children. Okay, so let me show you exactly what our platform offers for you. It's a gradebook platform which simplifies teacher-students relations, because very often those kinds of relations became very informal. Okay, so I believe the school needs some kind of platform which will allow your teacher and student to see exactly what happens in the school and give the students opportunity to repeat everything what happened at the classes at home. Give them opportunity to access a learning classes and in a very easy way. Let me show you exactly how the gradebook platform looks from the student perspective, okay? So please wait a moment, and I'd like to, but maybe we start from the teacher perspective, because it will be very easy to show you the opportunities which this platform gives to teachers, how it's easy to organize all of the information about classes. So okay, let's log into the teacher's account. It is brand new, completely new platform designed specifically to fulfill the needs of teachers and students, and see how it looks. So over here we have some basic information about the student, about what's going on in school. So we have news which can be written by your office administrator. Over here you can set your own schedule, okay, and even see what kind of classes you have today. Over here there are some additional options for teachers. For example, you can see very easily what kind of groups you are teaching. So over here I have information about my students. So for example, I can see very clearly very important information about them. So okay, some basic ones, right? Like the names, emails, also the phone. But of course, it is possible to decide if you'd like for your teacher to have all of this information, because very often schools decide that they do not want the staff to have the direct contact by phone with the students. So if you'd like to do that, there's no problem with that. So this specific teacher is learning two different groups, and I very easily can change group and see some additional information about this person. And that's a very nice group because there are some very important, very famous people in that group. So it's Russell Crowe and Jodie Foster. So that must be some very important teacher. Okay, so let's see exactly how we can, for example, also set some specific information about classes. But, okay, maybe let's start with grades. How we can set all of this information. That is very easy. For example, we've created some kind of test and we'd like to count the specific grade, okay, for specific students. So I simply add new column. I give it some kind of name. Maybe because there was some cultural, that's not culture, okay. So I will simply write information about that and save and close. So I have additional column which was just created. And right now I can fill in some kind of information about the daily score. So maybe something like that. And the last students were the best. Okay, so I will save at this moment, and right now, and the platform will count everything, and the new results will appear. So as we can see, the person's task have just changed. So it's very easy to set some specific grades for your students. Of course, over here there's maximum number of points is for 100, but it's not a problem with setting all of that by yourself. So, for example, there's no need for this number of points, so you can decide, for example, 20 or 50, so there's no problem with that. Okay, so how can we fill in information about classes? That's also very, very, very nice. And believe me that students love this kind of information because I will show also shortly how all of the platform looks from the student's perspective, because it is very easy for them to access all of this information and see clearly what happened on last lesson and simply repeat some kind of topics at home and maybe they would like to see some video, see some another kind of recording from your school. So let's see exactly. So over here I can write some kind of subject, also homework lesson, some information about this. Of course, often in school there's some kind of methodist which needs to accept the lesson. Of course, if you're not using this kind of, if you do not have this kind of person in your school, there's no problem with adapting the information which are presented over here by yourself. Okay, so over here I can add some kind of files. I can also check attendance of my students. So in this group there's only one student, so it's very easy to do that. For example, when attendance was checked, I simply click over here, and then the information about that, what is very important, will also automatically shared with the office. Okay, so it's very nice that because you always have all the flow of the information is much easier, and so you do not need to contact every time when some classes have placed, and simply all of the information, and the information about that goes directly to the office. So that's very nice, I believe. Okay, so there's some also other kinds of views you can do. For example, over here you can see when we have classes. So I can see in the calendar that on the Tuesday this week I had one test group in the room Madagascar. That was in Chinese conversatory. I even clicked right on the button of the class and see some details about this specific lesson. Okay. So I think that's very nice and very easy to see. And that was one additional thing I wanted to show you. Let me go back to that, because I wanted to show you that we can also create a kind of test and add them directly to your student. So we are right now in the actually, maybe I will show you that later, because how we can create tests I can also show you from other perspective, because those tests can be created by both students, by both teachers, but also person responsible for registration letters, because it's very good to add those kind of tests also directly into the registration form. Okay, so maybe see some other information about that. So over here we have also attendance, and how can we do that? Okay, so there's some issue, unfortunately. Okay, well, let's see once again. Okay, so right now I think we're great. Okay, so let's see once again. Even over here in the attendance tab, I can see exactly and check the attendance on the students. For example, student was absent, he was late, and as I even told you before, all of this information will be sent directly to the office, and that's that simplifies work a lot. Over here there are some communication methods, but I'd like to speak about them later. Okay, so let's go back for a moment to the presentation, and let's concentrate on another very important solutions which our platform can offer for you, and which are very often used by every school, but I think they are very often also used in not prepared way. Okay, so it is simply registration form. As I said, it's hard to imagine any school without their own website. But and the most common thing they use is a registration form on the site, and also the call number for the school, the phone number for the school. Okay, so, but I see some kind of advantages of this kind of solution, registration form specifically. First of all, it is less personal, so many people, even I, and to try to call to school. So they do not know sometimes what exact kind of information they will need to register. They can forget about some kind of data and they will need to call you again. And that increases the cost a lot of the process, which should be very easy and accessible for your students, for your clients. Okay. And so I believe there's a great advantage of a registration form, because if you prepare this form very well, your student will have opportunity to see clearly what kind of information do you need exactly from him. And there's also another problem, because registration form is very too often used as some kind of finishing process of the all of the website is used as some kind of marketing tool. So we have photos on our website, we have some kind of information about our teaching methods. So we'd like to interest our potential clients about us, so they will click on the registration form. What I believe is very good also if the registration form itself became some kind of marketing solution. And I believe there's a very easy way to do that. And it's very often used by school. It has this simple placement test. We can, for example, create our own template, ask them some funny questions, because very often they remain to follow, I think. It's very nice also for an opportunity to add some kind of YouTube video recording from our classes, so they can see exactly what happens in our classes. So they're doing these tests, and there's a YouTube video from our lesson. That's very nice, and they can see exactly what happens in our school. Okay, so let's see right now how easy it is once again to create this kind of test using our platform. Okay, so let's go back to the office and let's log in as an admin. Because this kind of this page is accessible for all of the users on the platform. So for example, the administrators, the person responsible for the office, for the finances, because you can very easily set what kind of duties will be for what kind of duties a specific person will be responsible. Okay, but let's concentrate now specifically on the registration form. And over here, let me show you also how it's easy to create this kind of form and set some data which are very important for a school. So okay, over here there are some important basic settings which you can use in this form, which I showed you before. In this page, I prepared this page this morning. I think I could change maybe the background color because it doesn't look really great with the stars. But I have some very nice solution from one of our schools, and I think it looks very, very good. Okay. So let's go back over here, and as you can see, right here I can set a form here. For example, some kind of information which are important for me in the registration process. So for example, mobile phone. It's important for me, I will click on that. And I will set also this required to my text box, okay? And maybe some kind of additional information. For example, how did you know about us? It is very easy to create your own question and add them into the form. I will simply click over here, maybe once again, edit form field, click over here, and I will simply add some kind of question. I don't know my favorite color, I don't know my favorite football team, okay, maybe my favorite football team tag, and I will simply add that. And over here I have some kinds of options. I can use kind of question, okay, so that will be a checkbox. That can be a big text, and it's also possible to set specific teacher which will be responsible for solving that test. If you would like, for example, to ask some kind of open questions for the students. So that's very nice. Okay, so let's see maybe now exactly how we can create those placement tests, and later I will show you how will that look exactly from the perspective of this potential client. So I will simply start on the registration process, and show you how easy it can be to add new student into your school, and that saves time a lot. Okay, so over here we can prepare some kind of template already prepared, and let's see how it looks and how we can edit questions, which we would like to show our potential students. So over here, I have information about things which were okay. So basically, did you go anything interesting last weekend? So some of the questions, okay. And as I said, there's us YouTube video which is possible to add into this placement test. Okay, so it's very easy. But let's see right now how it looks from the student view. So this is how it looks, and that's very attractive way to show students that we offer them even something unique, because they see that they're connected to some kind of platform, some kind of new tool designed specifically for them. So whenever I fill in all this information, the result about that can be sent both automatically for those potential students if you want to do that way, or maybe it is also this page can be custom-sized. Okay, I'd like to answer that questions at the end, because most of the things it's very easy to custom-size. This also. So for example, there's some kinds of limits, of course, in that, because you can, for example, set some kind of basic information about, so for example, the background color and so or some other issues. But as I said, it is also possible, even I showed you over here, because those kind of things can be set by their own by you. So I believe that's very nice. Okay, but maybe let's see the registration process from the student perspective finally. And so let's log out once again. But right now I'd like to go to the student's profile. Okay, so I need to find this file finally. Okay, so there's some kind of my own template. Okay, but I'd like to connect with that from that perspective. Okay, so I need to log out once again. Okay, it's finally I'm over here. So it is also possible to add all these buttons on your website. So you do not need to have this kind of page, add some additional page on your website, some kind of link that will direct you specifically over here. So if you'd like, for example, to add some registration button and create it by your own, it is no problem with that, and you can very easily create that, and they will simply transfer you into the test. So okay, let's sign up and see exactly how that works. Okay, so over here I have some kind of information. For example, departments. My school has only one department, which is in Warsaw. But is it possible to create, for example, a department in London, Manchester, I don't know, many other cities in England or in the United Kingdom? So over here, I can also set some kind of language which interests the students the most. Of course, if you're only learning students the English language, or for example only the Spanish language, you can also you can decide that there will be only Spanish option in the start. Okay, so let's prepare some basic information about me. Okay, so that's my name. Okay, maybe my email. I won't write my phone number. I don't want anyone to call me. Okay, that's joking. But some kind of number over here. So some random numbers. Okay, so let's continue the process. Actually, I won't need to change my information, because the test, which the placement test, you can add into some specific language also. Because, for example, your student is interested specifically in English language. So, of course, you will have opportunity to add the placement test designed specifically for the English group. And so the Chinese test designed specifically for the Chinese group. So I think it's just quite obvious that you will need those kind of solution. Okay, so that's some information. And over here I can set also availability when I can attend classes. Okay. As it's in the demo version, the hours are written in this way, but in the normal version of the platform, it is also the British numbering. Okay, so maybe for Tuesday only in these hours I'm available. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, I'm about to start solving the test. Yes, I'd like to start solving the test. I will click next. I don't know the answer. I will go through the process. I will click some options over here. Okay, and let's see the result. Maybe that. Okay, and let's finish. And we will see. Okay, and we will see the result. Thank you for registering. And so that's the information. Okay, so I can right now go back to the LangLion and see exactly what happened with this potential student. We just created and just finished the form. Okay, but I need to go back to the English version of the demo. Okay, so once again, I will right now log into the secretariat, and the information about that person will be transferred automatically into the site. Okay. So right here I have some kind of potential students, okay? So in the normal version of the platform, as I said, I'm using the demo presentation. I can show you how that works in the format which I prepared earlier, but some informations are still being tested and they are implemented in this form exactly. So when some new kind of student was added into our school, and let's see exactly how that works, how easy it is to automatically fill in all of the information and put them into the documents which are important in the school. So right now I click on over here, first me. So new kind of student just logged into the platform. And right now I have some kind of information about. I know I can see his test results. I can see what are his available hours, okay? And so all of the information about that will be shown up here. But right now, I'd like to add this potential student into directly into the platform, so I can assign him to some kind of language group in your school. So right now, I click Add Student. And so right now, all of the information which he just filled in the registration form are transferred directly into the platform. So right now, if you'd like to send him an information about the language group, that requires only about two clicks. Okay. Just go back into the presentation for a moment, because there's some other slide in which I wrote specifically about that. So it's one-click solutions, which will save time. That's very nice, and you can set up, for example, of the problems with documents which are very often can be seen in any office. For example, very long queues. There are about 4 different documents which you need to sign in with your student, with your new client. Okay, so it takes a lot of time if you like to do all that process, and even you have some different kind of software for different kind of things. Also, for example, one kind of software for printing the agreement between you and the student and the client. Okay, and so some additional platform to sort the payments with the student, and many others. And that's another problem with that you need to copy and paste all of the information every time. What over here does is very, very easy. Okay, so I just added new student, that is Paul Smith, and I'd like to add him to some kind of group. So how can I do that? Over here we have some more specific information about the student, some his phone number, some information about his payments and basic data. Of course, they are not created right now because we simply, as I said, that's the demo version. Some of the information are simply not filled in because that would be maybe not a waste of time, okay? But that's not very necessary at the moment. Okay, so let's see how it's easy to assign the student into a new group. So I will click over here. There's two ways in which we can assign students to group. From the group tab over here, but also from the student perspective. Okay, but let's see how it can simplify my work a lot. So I'd like to add into some kind of group. And over here I have already some kind of information about the number of assigned students. And if you'd like to see some find some exact information about the book. So for example, when it starts, some information about teacher, you simply will write information about that, and only the groups which are being taught by the specific student, the specific teacher will appear. So understanding is better. And we have only these three groups, which I even showed before, because when we were in the gradebook platform, there was we've seen everything from the understanding Isabella perspective. So I'd like to add him to the test group. Okay, so let's continue. Save and close. We've just added new student to our group. Okay, so but right now we'd like to print him information about the group when the student will have lessons, with whom, when, in what kind of class. I will simply need to click over here. So let's print details of the group. Okay, I need to save that, and I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so this is some basic information about the group test group which was created. So over here I have information about the course. I have information about the loan, who's teaching exactly. As you can see, that there were two different teachers in that book. So there was Brown Benjamin, and that was also Anderson Isabella. And what's very important for a student that they have this own information about their own login, which will be only accessible for them. That's very, very nice. Okay. So that's as simple as that, because whenever you create new kind of group, you can set very easily and create new kind of lesson and even generate them automatically. But as it is not the main topic of our presentation, I will happy to show that another time, and of course it will be also possible to have an individual presentation if you'll be interested in that. So please let me tell me about that at the end of presentation. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and concentrate on some other very important medias which you can use if you'd like, online medias which you can use if you'd like to attract new students into our platform. So okay, I believe that very important are social medias, because as we all know, they are getting more and more popular right now, and this is good to present some kind of interesting offers in our profile so they can see what exactly we are offering for them. Okay, so on the phone, on the tablet. But there's one problem with social media. They are very time consuming, so you very often need additional person who will be responsible only for that. We can imagine, for example, a situation when the last post on your Facebook account was written about 2 years ago. So if I would see something like that, I don't know if I will call to the school and ask about the course. It is very popular also, and that's very good. It's easily reached and it's very cheap to use that. Okay, there are some advantages, but I believe that the gradebook platform, which I showed you before, is very much like that, because it simplifies the communication a lot, and also it allows you to see exactly what kind of, as I told you before, the information about the course, and even it's much easier to communicate with your office. Okay, so let's right now log into the student's account and see exactly how that looks from the student perspective. That is also what is very nice about our platform. As I said, there's also one additional profile for parents exactly. So it is possible for them to access the page, the login of the students, and see exactly what happens in the school. That's very nice because they can see if they're even learning something in the school, and if they weren't wasting money when they decided that they will send their children abroad. Okay, so how that looks. When we were a teacher, we had opportunity to fill in some details about classes, but right now that will be of course not possible. So right now I will give information about my grades. That's maybe not the best student I chose at the moment, because that student I think is not in any group, is not assigned to any group. But let me see exactly the communication method, because all of this information we've seen before, simply because they cannot be in some way changed by the student. Okay, so they will have only access to the information about the classes, and they will have opportunity, for example, to fill in the test that was added by a teacher into a specific class. So how easy is to create message and communicate with in the school? So there's address book. You simply click over here, and it's very easy to find, for example, teacher who's learning. As I said, this specific student is not assigned to any specific so maybe I will change this one and find another one, and it will be much better to show that. I think there was a very well-known actor which was assigned to that test group before. So maybe even let's find someone who's in that group and log in into as a person. So that's very easy. I'll just find the information about that group, and right now I can log in as a person. Okay, that was test group. Okay, so maybe there was some classes created for that group. Okay, so let's log in as John Test. I think that's the person who's in the group. So once again, over here I have information about upcoming classes. I can see click exactly, for example, teacher has informed me that I need to bring something into the classes. So the information about that will be available for me very easily. So for example, I'm riding the bus, I forgot to prepare for the classes. So that's the last moment when I can see exactly what happened, and connecting all I need to do in that case is simply to connect to the platform and see exactly what we need to do in that classes. So very important, very nice are also these news, which you can inform students about some very interesting events in your school, for example, or even some kind of promotion, some kind of bargain for the student. So some extra offer you will like to share with them. Okay. Some kind of news, great messages. So I will once again create this kind of message. Even over here. So I will click address book, and I will have what's very important, only access for those teachers which I learn. Of course, if you want to be that way, because I don't really believe that the relation between teachers and students should remain in some way rather formal. Okay, so students need to know who's responsible specifically for him. But if you'd like to contact with administration, there's also no problem with that. He can also contact with the students from his group. So it's as simple as that. And it's really nice because you have everything in one place. So we can be sure that the relation still remains formed, because very often it's a very good idea, because schools even use social media as Facebook to solve the relations between students and teachers. That's very bad, because simply Facebook, I think, is flooded with different kinds of information, and it's very hard to find interesting as information, and we can even forget about that. So if we know that we have one specific platform in which all our needs connected with the education, with our school. It's smart, it's simply much easier to remember about everything, and it, I think, saves time a lot, and gives also some educational opportunities, okay, for the students. Okay, so maybe I will just take another drink of a tea, and so it will be much easier for me to continue. Okay, thank you. So right now, let's go back into the presentation. And we can continue. Okay. I'd like to concentrate right now on another very important solution, which is, I think, the most popular if we speak about communication between teachers and students. So there are some great advantages of that. That is, direct contact and the relations, I believe, still remains very formal. But there's also another point that very often they are simply not open for many reasons. They can be treated as a spam, for example. Someone maybe have installed anti-spam protection, and very often also the people have mess in their accounts if they won't even see that message. I also think that is sometimes can be quite unsafe solution. But why it needs to be used in any case? Because it is the most common activity which is undertaken on the internet by the adults. So it is also, I believe, very good to have as many contact opportunities, as many tools as possible to contact with your clients. So right now we have our platform, we have emails, and even our platform allows you to create emails and send them specifically to your students because you'd like to inform them about some specific impact. And it's once again simplifies work a lot because, as I just showed you before, it is possible to set specific groups, specific destination of people which we'd like to contact. Okay, so let's log in once again into the secretariat. Okay, I'll just close that. Okay. So right now, let's concentrate specifically on the communication. And I'm gonna pose emails and also very important, very nice messages. But let's concentrate right now on the emails. So I'd like to create a kind of mail for my clients, for my students, so they will know about some very important content. And so once again, I will click over here and all groups will appear over here. So it's very easy to find all of the information about the people, because whenever you create some kind of a group, you of course will add some specific students to that group, and all of this information will be automatically filled in the other areas of the school administration also. So that simplifies works and work a lot. So you do not need to waste time to say, hey, listen, then we have some new additional students. Please add this new student to our mailing list. And you do not need to do that because it's done automatically. So I can send, perhaps I have some important information for all of my teachers. So right now, every one of them will have information about it. I can set some other information about the sender, about my email if you want to share that information with the receiver of the message. Topic. Is it even possible to copy some kind of template which you prepared in Word and add it directly, so it will be copied directly into the form. So perhaps you already have some kind of form prepared, so there's no problem with that, and you can very easily add it out here. I just received information about the connection issues. I hope that is not a problem, and we can still hear me. So maybe that's a short information about that. Okay, that would be very nice. So once again, what's with the connection? I'm afraid that there could be some kind of problem for a moment. how it works for you. If you just could tell me, I'd be grateful for that. Okay, so let's concentrate on some another very important facilitation of this form, because you can set the date of delivery when you'd like to the message to be sent to your students, and set the exact sending time. And so that's very nice, and it simplifies your work a lot. Okay, so let's see now system messages. And over here you can create messages which will be seen specifically by your students using the platform. So whenever they log in into the platform, and then we see some kind of message which will be accessible for them. Okay. Okay, I don't need this information. Okay, so once again, it's very easy to create this kind of information as a specific range group to which we'd like to send those messages. So let's go back to the presentation and let's go back. Okay. And what's with the connection? Okay, because I'm afraid there could be some connection issues for the moment. Okay, so let's concentrate on the notification system right now, which is one of the last things I'd like to present for you. This is some kind of automatic response for school's activity. Because, for example, someone just logged in into the site, perhaps you need to abort your classes, and you need to inform your students about that. And very often that takes a lot of time, and it's very hard to administrate those kind of issues. And so see exactly how we can do that on our platform. So, for example, once again, in the test group, because some kind of lessons were added over here, and let's go into test group and see some specific information about the lessons. All of the informations are presented over here. So right now I can see, that's bothering me. Okay, I can see some exact information about the classes. I can change the status and even create the statuses by my own, because, for example, I have some different status characteristic in my own school. And so right now I'd like to inform all of my students that my classes were cancelled, and that's as simple as that. I will simply click over here, and right now the platform will ask me if I'd like to share information for all of the students of the platform about that the platform was cancelled. Yes, if I click yes, the information about that would be that one person will be informed about that. Okay, that's some additional options of classes generated, but they are not important today. Okay, so let's go back into the presentation, and I'd like to finish with another very important solution, online solution, which you can use in your everyday communication, and which is very often not even perceived as some kind of online activity, because normally we do not connect SMS messages with online solutions. And it is, I think, used rather rarely by any company, but it gives any school great opportunities. And normally it takes a lot of time to send some kind of message to your parents, and you need to find every student in the contact list, for example, prepare concurrent messages for every group. You may even need to inform them, as I show you, about some kind of aborted classes, about perhaps you'd like to remind them about payments, but LangLion once again simplifies that process a lot. It is possible to send SMS messages and notify automatically your students about, for example, as I showed you before, cancelled classes, about the missing payments. So let's see that directly over here. So all of the information which was sent, we have over here. So it's very easy to see some kind of notification history, to who we exactly sent our messages and what kind of messages we sent to them. And let me show you the reports model, which is, I believe, a very attractive solution for any school because, and as I told you before, it shows you some statistics, and so you can see exactly how looks the work of the company. So I can select some kind of report about, for example, student statistics, sales report, or maybe group settlements. I can see exactly what kind of group still needs some additional students. What's very nice, I think, is the data template. Let me show you how that works and how it's easy to inform the students about missing payments. So when I chose that template, over here right now I can present information about all of my students which haven't settled their payments yet. So over here I have information when, how much they need to pay, and the date to which that specific cost needs to be paid. Okay, so right now I'd like to notify all of my debtors about the missing payments. So it's very easy to do that. Right now I can click over here and send them an email about that, or even send SMS messages or some kind of custom messages, because our platform offers you two versions of the SMS messages, and one basic one. I think the difference is rather simple because in the extended version of platform, there's also an information about your school, some kind of information you'd like to share directly with the students. So they will know that they have received directly this kind of message from you. So the information that this SMS messages comes from, for example, language stars. Okay, so it's very easy to do that. And I'd like to finish the presentation with that. And to sum up, I wanted to show that all of these solutions, which are very often used by any school, can be simplified a lot by our platform, because very often it takes a lot of time to administrate all of these different tools, and it's very hard to find the right way to use them. But I think the LangLion platform is all of these solutions simplified, but then there are also some additional solutions like this SMS message notification system in Gradebook, which simplifies work a lot, and students love that kind of solution. Let's imagine, for example, that last year there were more than 20 billions of logins into a Gradebook, so that shows that students are using this kind of solution, and they love, and we can offer something that's designed specifically to fulfill their needs. And right now I'd like to finish with and offer you, I believe, a very nice opportunity for you, because I don't know if in the next couple of hours I'll be able to show you all of the opportunities and of our platform, how it can simplify your work. So I think it's a great opportunity to try a free trial. You simply need to fill in that form, and then that will allow us to contact with you and give you the access to your own link platform, so you have your own profile and you'll be able to test if that works in your school. So you're not taking something and you don't even know what that is. So if you'd like to try that solution, I believe that's a very, very nice opportunity. Okay, so I'd like to finish right now, and if there are some kind of questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now. So let's wait just a moment and okay, so I'd like to thank you for joining this webinar, and I hope that you enjoyed this presentation, this webinar, that you loved the solutions which I showed you today. And once again, if you're interested, please try this in 30-day trial, and in this time you will not be left alone. You can contact there will be an account manager which will be responsible for your needs, so you can contact him anytime and ask him for help using the platform. We have also available technical support, which is very good about our platform, because very often you are left alone and you even need to pay for additional help from the technical support. And it is also the help page available on which you can set all of the information and see exactly how you can do some specific, how you can function on the platform. Okay, so I'd like to thank you once again and have a nice day, I think. And then the water is great component, I hope is as great as in England, it is as great as here, okay? So thank you once again and goodbye.